Thank you for joining the RTC Specification Subcommittee meeting. Chair Jeremy Levitt, staff is ready for you to begin.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair Jeremy Levitt. For the record, I'd like to call to order the May 12th, 2021 meeting of the RTC Specification Subcommittee. RTC staff will begin with a roll call of subcommittee members and introduce staff online.
Thank you, Chair Levitt. David Gloria, Management Analyst for the RTC. For the record, I'll be calling your name in alphabetical order. Please confirm your attendance as I read your name. Pajan Abraham.
Present.
Jimmy Floyd.
Present.
Jim Keene.
Present.
Jeremy Levitt.
Present.
Thank you. Also, please note we have a few RTC staff on the line for today's meeting. This includes Mr. Joe Damiani, Manager of Engineering, Ms. Gina Kendall, Principal Project Engineer, and Ms. Julia Uravich, Senior Project Engineer. Thank you, Chair Levitt.
Thank you. Mr. Damiani, for the first item, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair Levitt and members of the subcommittee. Joe Damiani, Manager of Engineering. For the record, the first item on your agenda is to conduct your first citizens participation period. But as you know, on March 22nd, 2020, the State of Nevada Executive Department issued Declaration of Emergency Directive 006, which suspended the requirement to have a physical location for public meetings. Pursuant to Directive 006, and for the health and safety of the community, this meeting is being held virtually. To allow for public participation, the RTC is accepting public comments via email at publiccomments@rtcsnv.com. Comments can be submitted to be read aloud or to be added directly to the written record. Mr. David Gloria will read the public comments received by the RTC.
Thank you. This is the first time set aside for public comment. This time is limited to comments on items included on the agenda. Comments will be limited to the first 500 words, with the remaining words to be included in the written record. Do we have any comments?
Thank you, Chair Levitt. David Gloria for the record. There are no public comments at this time.
All right, thank you. Moving on to item number 2, Mr. Damiani.
Yes, Chair Levitt. Item number 2 is to approve the minutes. The minutes are in order and ready for approval.
All right, are there any comments or questions from the subcommittee? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
This is Jim Keene with Boulder City. I'll move to approve the minutes.
We have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to the next item. Item number 3. So that's you, Joe. Okay.
Oh, that's all right. Yes, Chair Levitt. Item number 3 is to approve revisions to Uniform Standard Specification Section 401, Plant Mix Bituminous Pavements General. Members of the subcommittee, the RTC has received a request from the City of Henderson to revise Section 401.02.04, Paragraph B of the Uniform Standard Specifications. The proposed revision is to add the City of Henderson requirement to use PG 76-22cc and PG 64-34cc. The revised paragraph is included in the background of the agenda item. Staff would recommend that you approve the proposed revision and authorize staff to add the item to the Executive Advisory Committee and the RTC Board for approval.
All right, are there any comments or questions from the subcommittee? I do have a comment, and maybe Jimmy has a background too. I know we went through all this with the PG classification. Is this? I thought we already changed the Uniform Standard Specification to PG 76 22 and to the PG oils. So what revision would this make?
Yeah, Ms. Sajan, yeah, if you could chime in.
Okay. This is Sajan Abram with the City of Henderson Public Works, QC. The change we're making by adding the City of Henderson in red in that paragraph is in the past, Category 1 mixes for the City of Henderson has always been PG 76-22. And when we made that change to the PG 70 oil, when they just plugged in wherever the AC 30 was in the spec with the PG 70-22 oil, it made it possible that you could use the PG 70-22 in a Category 1, which is the 75 below mix. And this addition that we're doing now just limits the Category 1 mixes in the City of Henderson to only a PG 76-22.
Yeah. And if I could add, Jeremy, the changes we made were to actually Section 703, and this really was changed, like Sajan said, just to find and replace. So it kind of messed things up for the Henderson. So therefore, this just does a clarification on their end.
Okay, so it is just for the clarification, just for City of Henderson, doesn't really affect anyone else.
Correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any other questions. Any other comments or questions? If not, may I have a motion? Follow staff recommendation.
Sajan Abraham with the City of Henderson proposed to follow staff's recommendations and approve.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those to follow staff recommendations. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed say nay. And the motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to the next item.
Yes, Chair Levitt, Joe Damiani with the RTC. Item number 4 is to receive a report regarding the progress of the Uniform Standard Specification and Drawings Working Group. As you know, last meeting, we established the working group, which is an ongoing task, as well as we've come up with some tasks. So, Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee, the RTC staff would propose the following revised plan for the working group. We would like to tackle this in 3 phases. The first phase would be to review all of the drawings. The RTC staff has begun to review the drawings, and we are identifying the following with each drawing. Any potential changes to the drawing to start the process, and we'll start the process and the discussion during the working group meeting. Identify if the drawing is actually better fitted in a design criteria manual. We have been noticing as we do our review that a lot of the drawings aren't really actually standard drawings for construction. They are actually design criteria that people utilize to help move the projects along. And then the third thing would obviously be to identify if the drawings are still required, and we would recommend it to be removed. So to let you know, we are meeting every 2 weeks internally to build up a backlog. So we always have a list of drawings, and when we go to specs, we'll do the same thing for specs and criteria. And build up a backlog, and we will send out all the drawings that will be on the agenda for the next working group 1 month prior to the meeting. So this way, we'll have a backlog of drawings that we've gone through and given our initial first crack at it, and then we'll send that out 1 month before the working group. We would recommend that the group has internal discussions so that they can be prepared for discussions and to make recommendations and to make changes in the working group, so we can kind of move this along. The second phase of this task would be to create a design criteria manual that we need to be adopted. Now, as we were reviewing one of the drawings, I read a note somewhere that said there was a 2000 RTC design criteria manual. We have yet to been able to locate that, so I hope we have it and we can find it, because then we can just kind of modify it, but I don't think I've ever seen it, and I don't know of anybody who has, so we're going to try to come up with that. But if we don't have it, we're going to create one from scratch. And so we want to know, because I want to give the agencies the assurance, we're not going to get rid of the drawings, because I get a lot of feedback from the private development and the land development review groups from the agencies that say, no, we use this, we need this in there, we need this in there. And what I'm finding out is that they really need it to reference a design criteria, and that's really where it needs to be. So no drawings are going to be removed. They're just going to be, they'll be removed if they're not needed. But if they're design criteria related items, they're going to be moved into the design criteria manual, which we will go for an adoption. So that'll be, so we're not going to get rid of anything until these things are adopted, and then they'll go hand in hand. I would also recommend that all new submittals, after we adopt these, I think it would be a good practice that when we go through and everything is adopted, that the private development and even capital side, we have a section on the notes that state a statement that identifies any deviations from the design criteria up front, so that everybody knows right up front, and you can see it right on the drawings, which sections of the design criteria that they're either deviating from or requesting waivers from. So that's the second phase. And the third phase would be to incorporate the updated drawings and the new design criteria and revise the actual specifications accordingly. I would also note that we want all of these documents to be adopted at one time. So we're not going to do anything until all three phases are completed, and then we'll be sending them out. They'll go out for a good chunk of industry review and comment period and things like that. And then when we adopt them, we'll have a full set of documents newly adopted, and we'll go from there. And then the other thing is, we're proposing that the first meeting of the working group will be August 18th, 2021. We originally was slated for July, but we had to move it due to some conflicts. So therefore, the first meeting will be August 18th, 2021. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions from anybody.
So the attached on the backup with the agenda, the meeting, the specs and drawings for each meeting, it sounds like we're throwing that out and we're doing a different process altogether. Correct?
Yeah, that was the first stab at it. This is just going to be a standing item, so that those will probably come back out. I saw that it was attached in this agenda item, and we didn't really need it, because what'll be in the background of this particular item in the future will be a summary of the discussions that have happened in the working group, so that we could just give you a summary. But since we haven't had any of the working groups yet, this was still just out there.
Okay,
so
then, go ahead.
No, we're not really throwing it out. We're just, it's just a basis. We're just gonna revise what the agenda is for each meeting as we go forward.
Okay. What time will that meeting be? Is it going to be a 1 o'clock meeting, or do we have a time? August 18th?
No, David, you could correct me, but I think it's going to be the 9 o'clock a.m. It's going to be replacing it's the time slot of the RPCC meeting. Is that correct, David?
Oh, okay.
That is correct.
Yeah.
And so you'll be setting out the list of the drawings ahead of time, a month ahead, so we can get together internally at our own groups to go through those and confer whether or not they should be, like you said, in the design criteria manual, or to keep them in specifications, or in standard drawings, or modified standard drawings in some way.
Yeah, we're basically just going to do, if we sat and waited for the meeting to start the discussions on these, You know, we'd never get through any of these. So we're just basically just going to go through and give it our first attempt, and then send that out a month in advance so that the agencies can review it, look at it, and see what we're talking about. And if people don't want it as a design criteria, they still want it as a standard drawing, then we'll come to the discussions, and then we'll have actions at the working group, and we'll say yay or nay to where it's going, and then we'll just keep track and keep moving along. But we're just going to give it our first attempt at what we think there should be. And it's not, that's not to be held in stone. This is just what we're coming up with that we think fits better in the as the drawings go forward.
Okay, that's good. I don't have any other questions. Does anyone else have anything?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jim with Boulder City. I missed it. What was the date of the meeting? I forgot.
The first one is going to be August 18th at 9 a.m. and then it'll be basically the third Wednesday of every month.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay. And is there, basically, I think we're going to kind of limit it to what you guys come up with ahead of time versus if there's anything that we want to talk about. I guess we'll just, if there's anything we want to talk about from any of the agencies, then we'll just hit those items as in the block that you come, the block of drawings that you come up with.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have a set agenda, and in the agenda we'll have any other items as, like we do normally. So we're going to send out, and the other reason we're doing this as an internal review too, because we wanted to see, how many drawings we can actually get through in an hour and a half. We don't want to be there all day. So we're going to send, so what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to say, okay, we got through this many, but we're going to add a couple of extra, just in case we move a little quicker. And then if we move a little slower, it doesn't matter. We'll just track where we're at. So we're just going to try to get a gauge. So we're going to try to send out as many as we think we can get through in an hour and a half, and then a little bit extra. And then if there are any, when we send it out in a month in advance, if anybody wants any specific one added to that agenda, you could just send us back right away and let us know, because we'll still have time to post it with the agenda.
Okay. All right. Chair Levitt, for the record, I think this is a good effort, and I'm excited about it myself. I just wanted to reiterate to everybody, all the other agencies, that I think it's going to be critical to get everyone together before the meetings to spend the extra time, it'll take hours and hours before the meeting to get comments and thoughts together so that we can optimize the hour and a half we have once a month. But thanks for putting this together.
Yeah, I would just emphasize on that it I know it's a daunting task, and it's something that's well overdue. And if people take it seriously, then we're going to get a good document. So I just think it's time for us to make some good revisions and get this stuff straightened out.
Yep. Are there, last chance, any other comments? If we have no other comments, we move on to the next item. Thank you, Mr. Damian.
Okay, item number 5 is to discuss topics of interest. This is the opportunity for subcommittee members to share updates or information with other members.
Is there anything that a member of the subcommittee would like to share? Well, I have nothing myself. Hearing no responses. Moving on to the next item.
Okay, thank you, Chair Levitt. Joe Damiani at the RTC. The last item on our agenda is the final citizens participation period.
This is the second time set aside for public comment. Just a reminder that comments will be limited to the first 500 words, with the remaining words to be included in the written record. Do we have any comments?
Thank you, Chair Levitt. This is David Gloria again for the record. There are no public comments received at this time.
All right, thank you, David. If there are no additional comments, I will close the item. And if there's nothing else, the meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.